Hey everybody, and welcome back to my channel. Following up from my Final Fantasy VII Remake review, I decided to jump on the Final Fantasy bandwagon and have a go at Dissidia, Final Fantasy NT, released on the PS4 in 2018. The game is a follow-up to Dissidia Final Fantasy and Dissidia 012 Final Fantasy, both released on the PlayStation Portable, and follow similarly to their gameplay. This is a bit of a longer video today, but I had a few things bugging me on this game which I had to speak about in detail, because it should be practices which other game developers should stay away from, and I wanted to speak to you guys a bit more about it. So Dissidia NT is an arena fighting game which uses many of the popular cast from each and every Final Fantasy mainline game, bringing them all together for some arcade fighting fun. The story is pretty shallow, but feels constructed as good as can be for someone to find an excuse to get all these guys from different worlds together, and long story short, it's pretty forgettable, but I'll touch more on the story mode later. Battle mechanic wise, fighting works as a 3v3 system, controlling one and having the AI support control the other two. You move around a large open map, dealing physical damage called bravery attacks. Using these attacks build up your gauge to allow you to use special moves, also known as HP attacks, which can then chunk away at the opponent's health. The team have to give out 3 KOs in order to become the victors. That's about as complex as the mechanics get. Each character has a set number of moves, and all characters' moves are executed using the same button commands. So there's not really any learning difficulty for each character, and players can spice up their games with summons and EX moves, which bring various buffs and debuffs to the table. The game features boss fights as well, which feel pretty cheap and highlight the negatives in the gameplay. Fluidity between combat and movement seems stale, forcing you to commit to either a dash, guard, or an action, meaning you're likely to be punished by a bot if you miss a move, run out of dash gauge, or guard at the wrong time. Some of the boss fights can knock you out with one move easily, and have barely any build-up time. It makes these exciting, flashy fights feel more like a chore than fun. With limited moves comes limited options. Each person can only assign one HP dealing special move, which can't be comboed into either, meaning you deal all this physical damage, and then you sometimes just spend 3 minutes chasing someone around a map, trying to land this one move you have, which requires someone to basically be standing still or right in front of you. And with such big maps and movement options, it's never the case. It's like a cat and mouse chase instead of a back and forth combat. And that's about as complex as it is really. Similarly to Naruto Ninja Storm 4, which I reviewed previously by the way, you should totally check that out. The richness of the game doesn't come from the individual character movesets, but more the roster size and the fan service they bring to the table. There's 38 characters playable, some of which are locked behind infuriating DLC walls, which I'll come back to later as well. The game as a whole is serviceable. With there being such minimal gameplay variety, the game developers had the challenge of fleshing this out into a fully fledged game worth the full price. And it's here where most of my issues lie with this game. So let me break it down to you. A player has the option to participate in offline versus mode, in which you can do a sequence of fights against bots using your own team choices or predetermined ones, online player matches, or story mode. And that's it. And fine, if Square Enix want to put their hands up and admit there's not too many game modes, then go for it. But the developers have made some infuriating, tedious design choices in this game, and for what clearly seemed to be for the sole purpose of stretching out the game's playtime. Story mode allows you to watch various cutscenes on the main story, which are then followed by fights to progress forward. Each cutscene and associated fight are divided into memory cores, which must be unlocked by spending memory core currency. However, this currency can only be unlocked through offline and online battles, meaning that person can't just bash through the story mode enjoying it to its fullest, but instead must do a few fights, grind some bot gains, find these cores and jump back and forth, completely ruining the pace. And this is purely to hide the fact that the story mode gameplay is about 3 hours at best. And earlier when I said fan service, I did mean it. Each character has plenty of costumes, battle music, speech dialogue and weapons to equip, meaning in theory there's loads to play around with and to customise. But each piece of dialogue, each avatar, each thing you can change in this game is unlocked through either the shop or through treasure currency. And to no shock, you have to grind versus matches to get the treasure currency, which sucks. Each treasure gives you 3 random unlockables, and nearly most of them are avatar pictures for an online mode which is nearly dead now, or for new bloody dialogue boxes, which no one cares about. No one gets excited for a character saying a brand new sentence, let's be honest. So buying brand new costumes and gear require in-game gold to spend at the shop, which is also an insane grind. Let's say you have 38 characters, each with 6 costumes, 4 weapons, it's around 380 items to unlock. After playing the game for maybe 10 or so hours, I've only been able to afford buying 4 or 5 of these items. It's an impossible mission. The game came with post-release support through DLC fighters and costumes, but they cost an absolute fortune. Only some of the fighters come in the Fighter Pass bundle, The rest must be bought individually at around $4.99. Maybe you want a new costume for your favourite character. Some of these are nearly 10 quid. There's probably £200 of DLC on the PlayStation Store, and for what feels like should be unlocked through about two £30 DLC passes instead. And it's so infuriating because you can tell this game was made with love for the fans. So many characters to play, new renditions of favourite music, battle arenas and side support which all include someone's favourite. But because of someone's decision higher up to make this game bank off its whales, the average player is likely never to see these goods or appreciate the developers' efforts put in. They've shot themselves in the foot so badly with this one, and it's such a shame because I think deep down this could have been something fun and special. I don't think I can recommend this game to any casual fighting game fan. If you're looking for a new arena fighting game, then I'll suggest Naruto Storm 4, which is released on the Switch previously. The game will most likely only be enjoyable to those who have been long-time fans of the Final Fantasy franchise, and even then it's only worth buying when it's discounted under £25. They did release a free-to-play version, but it's basically a demo and incentivizes you to buy parts of the game individually, so I don't think it's worth evaluating. So if you've seen this game pop up in front of you, pick it up if it's cheap and you love the Final Fantasy franchise. It'll maybe give you 5 to 10 hours of entertainment, I think, unless you love to grind. I'm still playing it here and there because I've yet to finish grinding the cores for the story mode, but afterwards I can't see it staying active with me much longer. Sorry for the long rant today guys, I feel like it was pretty needed. Let me know if you found this video helpful and if you've played Final Fantasy Dissidia NT. Do you agree with my thoughts? Did you enjoy it more than I did? And as always, stay tuned for more videos on movies, anime and video games. Take care now, bye.